Doohan, you saved my ass.
Not yet.
Huh?
Most of the heat-resistant tiles have peeled off. The temperature's rising.
What? Are you for real? We can't live
Oh, well.
without them. I knew I should've
Whatever
come up here.
happens,
I'm only 18.
happens.
I don't wanna...
Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball is a series that's all about self-improvement through intense struggle. Tien Shinhan turned to the side of good after an intense battle with our heroes. Piccolo, son of the Demon King, sacrificed his life to save Gohan's, and Vegeta slowly came to understand the side of good over the course of Z. Everyone is a martial arts master in some way, and the fate of the world is placed entirely on the ability to train hard enough to beat a villain. And characters rapidly find themselves changing from good to evil based on how their fights play out. This all got me thinking that, Cassandra Cain would fit pretty well in the story of Dragon Ball. Introduced in Batman number 567 as a mysterious girl working for Oracle, Barbara Gordon, later on she took up the mantle of Batgirl when it was revealed that she was the daughter of David Cain and Lady Shiva, two of the world's greatest martial artists / assassins. The whole idea behind birthing Cassandra was so David could practice a theory of his. By not teaching Cassandra how to talk, read, or write, he could basically focus all of her learning towards martial arts and become one of the world's greatest assassins after himself. In place of reading books, Cassandra would learn how to read an opponent's body language and fully counteract anyone who attempted to fight her off. After her father brought her along to kill her first man, who she killed by literally ripping his throat out, she could read everything in his body language. She saw his fear and his pain, and likely other things that she wasn't really anticipating seeing. She knew she had done something wrong, so she later ran away from her father. As a member of the Batman family, she would be allowed to experience life and live like a normal person. She would pour herself into her studies, learning speech and how to read and write. She'd get to explore relationships and become a better person in her life of fighting crime. So, what would have happened if she was a Dragon Ball character? How can we take a character like Cassandra, her core themes and character traits, and put an Akira Toriyama spin on the whole thing? I think it would go a little something like this. It's age 739, about 2 years after Goku found himself crashing in the forest around Mount Paozu. We aren't worried about him though, not at the moment. Our story starts with Mercenary Tao and the Red Ribbon Army. The army is developing new and incredible weaponry every day. Androids, mech suits, different kinds of guns, warriors of unmatched skill and killing power. While deep in their research, an idea is had by the top scientists at Red Ribbon for the ultimate human warrior, one that wouldn't take any meddling into becoming an android from Jiro or Frapp. It's proposed by the scientists that if they were to create a warrior that doesn't know speech, reading, or writing, or any distraction with frivolous things like morality or feelings, they can focus their brain solely on fighting and thus have the world's greatest martial artists in their employ. But who would they get to undertake the training and creation of such a fighter? Well, of course, if you've seen the thumbnail, they simply need to ask, and pay several metric tons of zenny, Mercenary Tao. I imagine Red Ribbon would see great benefit in no longer needing to pay Tao Pao Pai to kill their enemies. Instead of having a living weapon, just as skilled as the assassin in their employ. And with Dr. Giro and Frapp's androids projects taking off, perhaps they can modify it in the future to further suit their needs. The idea is simple. Tao, being one of the world's deadliest assassins and martial artists, will produce the child, isolating them and instead showing them only how to fight and kill. No reading, writing, or speaking. This theoretical training would focus solely on the warrior's ability to read body language and predict an opponent's next attack, becoming almost unbeatable. Tao would at first laugh at this. Why would he want to waste his time raising a brat? But his opinion quickly changes when he sees just how much they're willing to pay him to go through with this. And, it wouldn't be so bad to have someone continue the business he had started. Maybe it would have its benefits later on. And so, Cassandra, only daughter of the dreaded Mercenary Tao and niece of the crane hermit Shen, is born. As he was instructed and paid to do, Tao ensures that she's taught only fighting from the moment she can even walk and beyond. In place of reading books, she is shown to search for the subtlest movements in an opponent's body language and exploit them. Tao keeps her far from civilization, in the wilderness, where she never actually has a need to meet or talk to any other human than Tao. Tao believes Cassandra's development is going greatly to plan, but that honestly couldn't be further from the truth. When Tao isn't around, off carrying out an assassination contract or something, Cassandra is free to explore the wilderness as she so pleases. There she can see the beauty in the creatures who live there. She can climb the tallest trees and see the world beyond her forest, the sunrises and the sunsets. She can battle heavy thunderstorms in the midst of her training, and take relaxing breaths in the midst of cloudless, breezy days. She does get lonely, however. Her father's training is really cruel and unforgiving. Cassandra would compare his parenting to the birds or the bears. Baby Bird's mother would bring them food and give them warmth, and the mama grizzly bear would fiercely defend her babies when any danger approached. Her father Tao, however, did none of these things. When she was hungry, Tao instructed her to gather food. When an aggressive animal found their way to them, Cassandra would be the one tasked with dispatching the beast, even though she really didn't want to. We see here that Cassandra only really wants to have a family, explore the world, and learn what's beyond her forest. Instead, all her father wants her to do is fight and kill. But for what? She's forced to remain in the forest and fight because in the end, she hopes deep down that when her training is over, her and her father can be the family that she desires so much. When Cassandra is 10, in the age 750, it takes longer for her father to return from a job he's been assigned to. While waiting amongst the trees and performing her usual training, a different man approaches her. This one wears green and has a silly hat and dark sunglasses. This is, of course, as we know, Master Shen of the Crane School, who tells her that her father has been hurt and Cassandra needs to come with him. Cassandra doesn't trust the Crane Hermit and instead attempts to fight him off. While Cassandra's method of fighting and skill is incredible, she's only ever trained against her father and has little experience against different opponents. She manages to land several hits and the fight lasts for a good long while, but it doesn't amount to much. Shen, with his decades of martial arts experience, manages to defeat Cassandra, knocking her unconscious and opting to take her back to Tao himself. When Cassandra reawakens, she realizes that her father truly has been gravely injured, and is now only half the man he once was. She's in a new building, beyond her forest. There's strange machinery and computers all over, and her father is lying in the midst of it all, receiving some new upgrades. Tao has used his amassed wealth and some assistance from Shen to become Cyborg Tao. Still recovering, and in no condition to fight at the moment, Tao, rather reluctantly, asks his older brother if he can continue Cassandra's training, giving him the rundown on what she's been trained to do and her ultimate purpose. Normally, Shen would say no. They always fought, Tao and Shen, and they were even split up as brothers by a simple bowl of rice. But considering he'd seen Cassandra's true potential as a warrior in their fight recently, he agrees. While her father recovers as a cyborg, and with the entire Red Ribbon army completely in shambles, Cass is led to believe that she's trained to kill the one who harmed her father. Cassandra wonders if killing the one called Son Goku will give her the life that she so desires. She's never actually taken a human life before, and doesn't know how to feel about it. Nevertheless, she begins training with Shen in the ways of the Crane School. Over the next 6 years, Cassandra learns ki control and some various techniques that come with the Crane School while under brutal training. I can see Cassandra making use of techniques like the Dodon Ray and the usual ki blast. Training with her father, I think, also would have taught her how to use swords and different kinds of weapons, instead of only her fists. For a woman like Cassandra, whose only way of truly communicating is by reading an opponent's body language and engaging them in an up-close confrontation, overwhelming an opponent with ki blasts and other body modification techniques used by fighters like Tien aren't really in her nature to use. I propose that Cassandra uses her ki in her own unique way. While training with Shen, the Crane Master notices Cassandra's power with ki is fluctuating. It's all there, but it feels more focused. When Shen goes to block Cassandra's punch, his arm nearly shatters and he's sent flying. When Shen lands, he senses her ki has gone back to normal. This illustrates to us that Cassandra has taken the focus on precise strikes like pressure points and combined it with her ki training. In a fight, Cassandra takes her ki and channels all of it into specific parts of her body, allowing her to finish off a combo with a disruptive power move. I think this could be displayed by Cassandra's hands being surrounded in like a ball of ki when she powers up, or something to that effect. Cassandra's overall potential as a human is immense, being the descendant of mercenary Tao and having relation to the master of the Crane School. With intense training from Tao and the implementation of more ki training from Shen, along with having been intensely training since the moment she could walk, Cassandra would face off with her father as a cyborg and absolutely decimate him. The practice of not learning human speech and reading and the sole dedication to combat has made Cassandra a brutal warrior. Tao doesn't even stand a chance, and Shen's not too far behind. He'd be flustered and confused, but he would state that this was all in the plan. Cassandra would surely kill Son Goku and maybe get revenge on Tien Shinhan for humiliating her uncle as well all those years back. Cassandra, of course, says nothing and shows no response to this. After 16 years, Cassandra is starting to realize just how little she means to her father and uncle. She's a means to an end, someone whose entire purpose is to kill Son Goku and this Tien person. And then what? 6 years finally pass, and it brings us to the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament. Tao, Cassandra, and Shen would make their way to the tournament. Cassandra has never seen so many people in one place before, and it makes her both scared and excited. Excited to see new things and experience another part of the beautiful world she's come to love deep down, but scared. She can't understand what signs and billboards say. She only understands a few words that her father and uncle say, like kill, train, Tien Shinhan, Son Goku. Everyone else is saying so many words that she's never even heard, doing things that don't make any sense to her. This curiosity drives her to walk around the grounds of the arena. While wandering, she hears a word she does understand. Tien. She follows the voice speaking it and finds Chaozu amongst the crowd, seemingly lost. She walks over to him and sizes him up, temporarily weirding Chaozu out. He can tell that her energy is strong, but she doesn't look very scary. He asks if she can help him find his friend Tien, as they were separated in the crowd. It takes her a second to understand, but based on his body language, she can piece together that he must be looking for Tien. She takes his hand and leads Chaozu through the crowd, eventually coming across Tien, who was also looking for Chaozu. He thanks Cassandra for leading him back, but doesn't receive any response. Cassandra simply sizes Tien up and then walks away. Tien wonders if she'll be participating in the tournament and who she is. But they also opt to hurry to Chaozu's first match in the tournament in order to pass the preliminaries. Cassandra reunites with her father, who scolds her for wandering off. He tells her that she's been entered in the tournament and will be fighting Tien Shinhan's little friend, Chaozu. Cassandra's taken aback. She doesn't want to fight the person that she just helped out, but against her own judgment, she follows her father's commands. Chaozu expresses equal distaste in fighting Cassandra, but regardless, when the time comes, the fight begins. Chaozu's psychic powers are little match for the strength, speed, and precision of Cassandra. Though he gives her trouble at first, repelling her with his powers, he begins to give away. Cassandra outlasts him, and while Tao cheers for her to strike a fatal blow, she opts to simply toss Chaozu to the ground and out of the ring, ending the match without dealing too heavy a blow to the one she had just befriended moments ago. With the match over, Tien rushes forward to help his friend up, though he seems to be okay. Tien would look up to realize that the girl who had just helped him find Chaozu had also beaten him in the tournament. At first, he's not sure what to think. His opinion would quickly change, however, when mercenary Tao steps up behind her. Tao praises his daughter for her swift victory before Tien shouts to him, telling him he's supposed to be dead and demanding to know how he was alive and who the girl was. Cassandra can see how distressed Tien is at the sight of mercenary Tao. Goku is also shocked to see mercenary Tao is still alive, but he's more focused on the massive energy that Cassandra's putting off. Tao would launch into his tale of survival and then inform Goku and his friends his daughter, Cassandra, trained since birth in the art of assassination and the Crane School, which shocks Tien and Chaozu. Tao would explain that by not speaking or reading or writing, her focus was solely on martial arts. She's a true warrior, an assassin through and through, here to extract her revenge on Tien, Chaozu, and Goku for humiliating her father and uncle. Cassandra looks away from the group, not meeting their eyes. Goku would simply blink. He would ask, "Does she really want to do that? Hey, do you really want to do that?" He'd ask, trying to get her attention. Cassandra wouldn't totally grasp what he was trying to say, and wouldn't really pay attention, before Tao explains that it's pointless to talk to her, and that she doesn't understand Goku's squabbling. Tien would shout back that it's cruel to force her to learn not even to speak and to fight in his battles for him. Tao would disregard him, promising his assured destruction in the tournament before leaving. Cassandra would take a sad look at the group before following after her father. So, the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament happens the same way as it did in canon. Only Cassandra will be replacing Mercenary Tao in the bracket. Before the tournament begins, I imagine there's this scene of Cassandra watching Goku and his friends, although not as excited as they might have been now that they know about Cassandra and Mercenary Tao. They're all still talking, laughing, and playing, enjoying the good food. They all mesh well together. Cassandra enjoys watching this, but it still makes her feel a bit sad. We see her long to be like how the group is now, and she's certain that may be an impossibility. She's meant to kill them because they crossed her father and uncle. At the same time, her father and uncle don't care about her the way these people care for one another. She's conflicted. While watching from afar, however, she's spotted by Goku and quickly makes her leave. Goku wasn't sure what she was doing, but something tells him that she's not like Mercenary Tao. He explains this to the group, and Tien makes a plan in his head before going forward to face her in the tournament. The first match of the tournament arrives. Cassandra and Tien, both students of Shen and Tao, who follow similar doctrines and techniques. How's the match going to unfold between the two of them? Tien would try and say a few words, but it's clear that's not going to get them anywhere. The match is declared and the battle begins. Tien, known in Dragon Ball for his blinding speed, finds himself perfectly matched. As both were trained in the Crane School, their martial arts prowesses are dead even. Tien keeps his guard up at all times, but his attacks are immediately counteracted by Cassandra's predictive abilities. Tien decides to keep himself a step ahead and attempts to overload her predictive capabilities and fires off a machine gun punch. To his shock, Cassandra was ready, her having also learned the technique from Master Shen. The two's fists collide heavily, creating shockwaves around them as they clash. Cassandra then surprises him with an upward knee to the jaw, tossing Tien backwards and giving the two some distance between one another. Tien is still struggling with how to get through to her. Treating this like a traditional fight won't get through to her, so the game plan needs to be changed. If she can read his body language like a book, then he needs to show her that he doesn't want to fight her. He tries something else. Before the battle can continue, Tien drops his stance. Cassandra looks confused. Tien speaks simply but clearly, hoping she understands at least these words. He asks her to stop. He tells her that Tao is cruel and that he understands what she might be feeling. Tien holds his hand out and asks Cassandra if instead of fighting as enemies, they can instead be friends. She doesn't know the meaning of the word, but she catches this meaning. He doesn't want to fight her. The word he used, friend, was used by Chaozu earlier. Was it an offer to be like them? To speak and laugh and enjoy trying new things? Live like the people she had seen at the tournament grounds? Cassandra drops her guard too. In the crowd, Tao and Shen look furious. As Tien smiles, wondering if their fight can become a lot more friendly and less murder-focused, Mercenary Tao takes his mechanical arm off and prepares a super Dodon wave aimed directly at Tien's back. Cassandra spots it first, her eyes widening, as she begins to suspect something's wrong. Turns to see what the matter is. The Dodon wave is only feet away from his chest. It surely would have greatly or perhaps fatally hurt Tien. But all's not lost. In a moment of acting on her free will, Cassandra throws her two fingers forward in her own Dodon wave, crashing directly into Tao's beam, creating a massive explosion as the shockwave throws various onlookers back into their seats. Smoke rises up from the beam clash, and from the smoke comes Mercenary Tao, blade arm extended, moving in for a fatal stab on Tien. But Tien's ready this time, and he catches the blade in his hand, snapping it in two. The referee shouts for Tao to get out of the ring and not interfere, but he's ignored. Tao demands that Cassandra kill Tien, outraged that she too would turn against her father. Cassandra would shake her head, not really wanting to fight Tien, but not sure if she wants to fight her father. Tien stands in front of her, telling Tao that she can make her own decisions and think for herself. Tao, however, refuses to give up, and even if he lost his blade and wasted his Dodon wave, he attempts to strike Tien by his pressure points. But it's a fruitless effort. Tien counters, punching Tao directly in the gut and rendering him beaten in a single blow. Tao stumbles, crumbling to his knees and punching the ground in frustration. 16 years of preparing the ultimate warrior, all proven worthless, in the same manner that Tien had left the Crane School. He shouts to Cassandra that he disowns her as his child, and quickly makes a break for it when Tien begins walking towards him to do even more damage. Cassandra is sure that he was angry, and he seems to be only leaving her here. It quickly dawns on her that her father's abandoned her. for not completing her mission. It makes her sad in a weird way. Even though her father truly didn't care about her, she still hoped deep down that one day that he might. Tien would turn back to Cassandra, offering her his arm as a gesture of friendship. Her father only wanted her to kill, but Tien was offering her the life she had always wanted. So she agrees. She takes his hand. The crowd is still utterly confused as to what's happening, and the referee calls for them to finish the battle or move out of the arena. Cassandra smiles as well as Tien, and the battle continues on as it was planned. Tien decides to change up his strategy. He keeps himself at a distance and attempts ki attacks. Cassandra, however, leaps about, throwing herself away from them and keeping on her toes, working her way towards Tien despite the ki attacks. She peppers him with strikes that fire directly for his blocks and attempted dodges, trying to whittle him down. As the fight dances throughout the ring, Tien notices that Cassandra's wearing a smile on her face. She's come to enjoy the fight, understanding that fighting can be far more than a means to simply hurt or kill. Fighting can be fun. Cassandra directs a punch for Tien's head. Instinctively, he ducks back, gaining some distance while trying to think of Cassandra's weakness. It dawns on him. Her expertise in fighting comes from the reading of an opponent's body language. So he needs to attack the eyes. Tien drops his stance, waving his hands over his eyes with his palms outward, calling out the coveted solar flare technique. It both works and doesn't work. Cassandra, trained in the same arts as Tien, saw the move coming and covered her eyes, though the lingering effects of the solar flare still mars her vision. Cassandra drops into a defensive posture and instead focuses on ki sensing. Tien would then go on the offensive, scoring hits on Cassandra and beginning to wear her down. The solar flare would eventually fade, but Cassandra is still forced onto the defensive, and Tien still has techniques up his sleeve. Tien would then opt to continue his overwhelming assault. If he can't spam solar flare, then he'll just overwhelm her ability to read body language. With a shout, Tien sprouts 2 more arms from his shoulders and continues to go on the attack. Cassandra is put on the back foot, trying her best to read and counteract. As Tien continues to move in on her, nearly knocking her out of the ring, he goes to throw her out of the ring with one more strike to end the match. Cassandra rolls to the side, stepping outside of his guard. She then uses her coveted technique. Her hands begin to glow as she focuses her ki, all of it, just into her fist, and throws a violent uppercut into Tien. The shift in power is so great that Tien is sent through the air and to the other side of the ring, utterly caught off guard by what had happened. Cassandra wipes the sweat off her brow and doesn't let up. She charges forward, keeping her fist right over her head, feigning a downward punch. Tien would then throw 2 of his arms up to block the punch, but then quickly realized that it was a trick. Cassandra moved her ki at the last possible second into her right leg. She changes from throwing an overhead punch into throwing out a flying low kick, slipping under Tien's tight guard and nailing him in the torso. A shockwave rings out as Tien is thrown back and out of the ring. The bell sounds, and Cassandra looks around at cheering crowds and smiling faces. The announcer cries out that this newcomer, Cassandra, had managed to defeat last year's World Martial Arts Champion in the first round. Tien would get up and throw a smile Cassandra's way, complimenting her on her performance and offering her a chance to watch the tournament with his friends. She wouldn't totally understand at first, a bit flustered from her sudden victory, but she would nonetheless agree. She would get a chance to meet Goku, Krillin, Master Roshi, Chaozu, Yamcha, Bulma, and Launch in person. While she isn't sure what a lot of them are saying, Cassandra finds herself laughing among all of them, simply happy to be among people without needing to hurt or kill them. So that's the story of Cassandra Cain in Dragon Ball. We get to see her conception, her powers, how she fares against the main cast, and she even gets her own little character arc where she slowly becomes good in the usual Dragon Ball fashion. How might she fare against Goku in the next round of the tournament? To find that out, you'll just have to wait and see. Thank you all for watching. This is the first video I've ever made in this kind of format, so I apologize if it's a little clunky at some parts, but I'll just work to keep getting better at making these in the future. Once again, thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next episode.